But thanks again for allowing me to speak and introduce not only my program, but some people don't know this, but everyone who inspired you today, I was one of those people just like you sitting in that audience, 2016, again in 2018, 2019, and I was inspired by someone called Lori Garver, who just said the same thing that Will said. If you don't like something, get up and do something about it. Don't just complain and whine, go do something about it. And then the next speaker after that was Ellen Stofan, and she just punched that same thing in me. And I figured, you know what? I have two passions. I just love space, and I love philanthropy. I want to do something good in the world, but I never found a marriage of those two or even a profitable way of making that happen. I just came here sitting like you guys as an enthusiast from the petroleum industry. So we actually make money, so that's a joke. But so I figured, well, let me spend that money to do something which is my passion, which is empowering underserved communities. Nothing is more inspirational to me than space. And you saw the previous panels, and you saw how, I shed a couple of tears just looking at the overview fact, and I haven't even been there. So how many of you really do want to go to space? How many of you are old enough to remember a world without a computer in every home? Okay, so almost a quarter of the audience. Do you all remember a vision called a computer in every home? So my dad used to push the fact that there's a guy named Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak, Bill Gates. They want to put a computer in every home. And one of our earlier sessions, they were talking about the 3 stages of a revolutionary idea, how it was laughable to so many people. Of you people who said, do you remember when that was a laughable vision? It was a laughable vision. I remember a presidential candidate being laughed off a stage because he says he wants a computer in every home. Look, all our devices are smart right now. We started off the day when we saw a video of Blue Origin. Who knows the vision of Blue Origin? It's a simple vision. Millions of people living and working in space. Who thinks that is an achievable vision, just like a computer in every home is an achievable vision? So in this audience, we have the majority of people thinking and believing we're going to live and work in space. So that's when I saw a gap between everyone focused on satellites, CubeSats, launchers, but what about the human element? What about life support? What about the culture? What about the diversity? What about inclusion? And that's when I got so fired up to say, you know what, I'm going to do something about it. So I called my company Borderless Labs. Wanted to be borderless, and I was inspired by PhoneSat and Planet Labs, and I wanted to name it in honor of that, Borderless Labs. And I do space camps and analog astronaut missions to underserved communities around the world. If you want to send millions of people to live in space, you kind of have to train millions of people to live and work in space. And Dan just said that in the previous panel, how there is an industry that's going to develop for every single one of you who needs to actually train these people. So I started the company, and my first scholarship was just a kid in Jordan who wanted to launch Jordan's first satellite. He was just inspired by PhoneSat, just inspired by Will Marshall holding up a dove and saying, this is our actual satellite. Oh, no, this isn't a mock-up of the satellite. This is it. This is what it looks like. And that was so inspiring to us, and he just wanted to make one like it. And 6 years later, not only does he have 52 satellites orbiting the Earth as we speak, I'm lying. It's 51 satellites orbiting the Earth and 1 at the L2 Lagrange point behind the moon. And he was my first satellite, first scholarship. And you'll see him in the video. He's the guy who plays the guitar, wearing a spacesuit in Wadi Rum, Jordan. And I want to show you this video. I'll speak over it rather than just telling you about each one of these scholarships. We did a Mars rover building challenge for underserved communities and refugees. There is a girl who currently lives in a refugee camp in a tent, has to go out to an outhouse, who is now doing the underwater analog and she's an engineering student now. There are so many of these scholarships that you'll see hopefully with this video, and if you can cue it up, I can talk over it. And the idea is to include, hey, that's my drone flying right there. And this is the country of Jordan. And we are traveling to the desert where I took 2 aviation engineering students on our helicopter excursion. This is their very first time in the air. This might seem normal to those of us in North America, but this is huge to people like that. These are our analog domes that we did in the city of Petra. You've probably seen this before. We did a lot of astronomy because it is a space camp. And that's Badur, our refugee. Team building is something that I don't see in space camps and analog missions right now. Of course, I failed and had to get pulled down. And nothing says bonding than being around a campfire. SGX should start doing that. And this is our rover building challenge, where all of these rovers are fully autonomous, GPS, AI, in our analog mission in Jordan that looks like Mars. This was built by refugees in underserved communities. And you would think it was made by NASA. And the girls made life support spacesuits, 7 different layers. She's a material engineer. And they had to compete with each other in what looks like Mars. And this is our refugee again, where she was doing biometrics on me over here. And we did, it is a space camp, so you got to do your talent show. And look at those biodomes. And it is red because it's just like Mars, it's iron oxide. And nothing to me says diversity, inclusion, just equitable, diverse, and inclusive than seeing an astronaut that looks like that. Every single one of them got scuba certified, because if you say you want to go to space, and if you haven't scuba dived yet, that you don't know what you're talking about. You have to try scuba diving. So it was life-changing for all of them. And this is Lockheed Martin, TriStar underwater. Yeah, I had to show that, I'm sorry. So we climbed to the peak of Mount Rum in Jordan. It's the highest point in Jordan, which looks like Mars, of course. And you all know on a good hike what kind of bonding you can do. And rappelling down, we also did, I even forgot the hot air balloon part. This was supposed to be Venus, but look at that view of Mars, really, on Earth. That's why they film all the movies there. Oh, and we got to do what I called sandboarding, but I was corrected by Leonard. This is actually regolith boarding. And that's my company, Borderless Labs. Thank you. And this year, we're going to have international participation. We're going to have disability. We're making it fully ADA compliant for disabled analog astronauts. We're going to have cancer survivors as well. So that type of inclusion, just, equitable, diverse inclusiveness that not only do we need in this industry, but in every industry, is easy if you just do it. So start, fail, and you never know who's watching. So just make yourself visible, and everyone can change the world. Thank you.